I woke up with this thought on my mind today of how abhorring suffering is and how we do not like to see it. We do not like to watch it. We do not like to hear it. I'm going to reference that Spasm video again because I've kicked myself. For one of it was stupid to post it. It bothered. It was troublesome. And I probably should have, I don't know. I just try to obey the Lord. But I've been kicking myself around with this in my mind, and my son Caleb and I even had another talk about it last night. But this morning I woke up with this thought strongly on my mind when I woke up, that I think it should bother us. I think suffering should always bother us. And the story that the Lord had on my mind this morning was the story of the Good Samaritan, and the man that was traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho on that journey. That was a treacherous road, and the robbers grabbed him and beat him up and stripped him down and wounded him. He was laying on the side of the road, and the priest came by, saw him bloody, broken, hurting, suffering, and went to the other side of the road. I'm sure it was a grotesque sight, troublesome, disturbing. And he walked to the other side of the road and went on. And then a Levite, who was also part of the Israelites and trained, maybe they weren't the authority like the priest, but they were certainly the gatekeepers, the musicians, and people in some leadership at that time spiritually. And he also saw the man hurt on the side of the road, and he traveled to the other side and went on. And then you had the Samaritan, who was only half Jew and half Gentile. The Jews hated him because he was half Gentile. The Gentiles hated him because they were half Jew. They were scorned. And he saw the wounded man. It said he had pity on him. And he went to him, and he bound up his wounds, and he poured oil in them. And then he took him to an inn and asked the innkeeper to take care of him. And he left money for him to be taken care of, and said, when I get back in a few days, I'm going to check again if you need more money. He was going to give him more money for the extra care he had for him. The moral of that story Jesus was telling was, a lawyer had asked Jesus about the good to do, and Jesus says the answer. He said, what do you think? And he said, well, to love God and love my neighbor. And Jesus said, then go and do that. And the man, being a smarty and wanting to clearly get some definition on, who do you mean is my neighbor? Like, when you say love my neighbor, you're talking about the guy next door, you're talking about the guy, people in my church, like, who's the neighbor? And then Jesus said, there was a man that was traveling, and at the end Jesus said, who do you think was the one that showed mercy? And he said, the man that helped him. And he said, now you go do that. And I think our natural human reaction when we see anybody suffer ever is to go to the other side. It troubles us. It bothers us. We do not want to hear it, see it, look at it. And I guess I woke up this morning thinking, maybe this is the story that God once told. And maybe he had me post the Spasms the other day as sort of a visual object lesson that's troubling. It's awful. They are awful. But it isn't about this. It is about making sure that we are keeping our hearts aligned to suffering people. My suffering can be pretty obvious at times. I roll around in a wheelchair. Everybody's suffering is not that obvious. There's suffering I have that is not obvious. So I know they're suffering people. And I know, according to Jesus, we are to see them. We are to have pity on them. We are to engage ourselves personally in helping bind up their brokenness. And we are to help them get to a place of healing and provide and facilitate that. That is the lesson. We do not love God if we do not love others. Have compassion on brokenness and suffering. So that's the thought the Lord had on my heart today. Y'all have a great day.